Okay, so you've seen the headlines. Global shipping is an absolute mess. But what you're hearing about delays and tariffs, that's really only scratching the surface. The real story here is a total, fundamental rewiring of how everything, and I mean everything, gets from there to here. So let's get into what's really happening. It all boils down to a question that, let's be honest, we're all asking right now. Why is everything I want to buy so expensive and taking forever to arrive? Well, there is a direct line from the world's biggest ports straight to your wallet. And believe me, the reasons are way more complicated than you think. And here's the kicker. This isn't just some temporary problem that's going to fix itself. No. People on the inside, the ones who run this whole system, are saying this is it. This is the new normal. This is just how stuff is going to move around the planet from now on. To really wrap our heads around this new normal, we've got to start with the most obvious part of the problem, the stuff you can see right on the surface. Right now, shipping companies are literally running away from the busiest, most profitable trade routes in the world. 6. Just remember that number. That's how many major weekly shipping routes between China and the US have just been, poof, suspended. We're talking about giants like MSC and Zim just pulling the plug. These aren't little side roads. These are the super highways of global trade, and they are being shut down. And the impact of shutting down just those 6 routes, well, it means we've lost the capacity for over 25,000 shipping containers every single week. Just try to picture that. 25,000 containers packed with phones, clothes, car parts, you name it, suddenly have no ride. That's the insane scale of what we're dealing with. So if the ships aren't going from China, where is everything going? Well, to get around those big tariffs on Chinese goods, companies are rerouting everything through Southeast Asia. The problem is, ports in places like Vietnam and Malaysia were never built for this kind of traffic. It's like diverting an entire freeway onto a small country road. You get brand new traffic jams and epic delays. But all those ships rerouting, that's only half the story. The real shock to the system, the hidden engine behind this whole crisis, was this quiet little rule change that sent an $800 shockwave right through the heart of online shopping. You have to understand this thing called the de minimis rule. For years, it was basically the secret sauce for all those e-commerce giants. It meant they could ship millions of small packages, think clothes, gadgets, whatever, directly from China to your doorstep, and because they were valued under $800, they were completely tax-free. And this just shows you how dramatic the change was. Before, you had this flood of small, tax-free packages. It was the entire business model for companies like Shein and Temu. Then, bam, the US suspended the rule for anything coming from China. Someone in the industry called it a logistics heart attack. Overnight, the cost to ship all those small items pretty much doubled. Okay, so this brings us to what is, for my money, the weirdest part of this whole crisis. The economics of it just seem backwards. It's something people are calling the ghost fleet paradox. So, on one hand, to keep the price of shipping sky high, the carriers are just straight up canceling voyages. They are intentionally creating these so-called ghost fleets, perfectly good ships just sitting empty in the water. Why? To create artificial scarcity and jack up the prices for the spots that are left. But, and this is the paradox, at the exact same time they're parking ships, they are launching a record number of brand new, absolutely enormous container ships that they ordered years ago. One company, Costco, just ordered 87 new ships. So they're cutting service, but also getting ready for a massive flood of new ships. It's this high-stakes gamble, right? Create a shortage now to keep profits high while betting they can dominate the future with this huge new fleet. So with all this chaos, you have to wonder, why are the prices we're paying still so high? An economist came up with this really powerful metaphor to explain it. He said, inflation right now is like a mouse being digested by a snake. Even long after the mouse is gone, you can still see that lump moving through the snake's body. So here's how that snake digestion actually works. The crazy high shipping rates at the beginning of 2025, that was the initial hit. That's the mouse. But there's a serious lag. It takes more than 6 months for that cost to work its way all the way through the supply chain to the store shelf. So the price you're paying today, that actually reflects the crisis from 6 months ago. And that lump means we're probably going to feel these high prices well into 2026, even if shipping rates magically drop tomorrow. Which brings us to the final piece of this giant, complicated puzzle. Looking ahead, the entire global market is basically just holding its breath for one single event. A wild card that could literally change everything almost overnight. See, this entire mess, the tariffs, the weird routes, the ghost ships, it's all built on a foundation of U.S. trade policy. But that foundation might be about to crack, because a single decision coming from the Supreme Court could flip the entire board. And that's the big, multi-trillion-dollar question for 2026. The Supreme Court is actually reviewing the power the White House used to put these tariffs in place to begin with. If the court decides the administration overstepped its authority, those tariffs could just vanish. And that wouldn't just ease the pressure, it could create a reverse shock, a sudden global collapse in shipping prices and a massive surge of products. And what happens then? Honestly, it's anyone's guess.